red hot. Got a wee party of cows following me this morning. Morning, Holly. What a beast. Big breakdown. It's the drill working there. Morning, we've obviously got a bit of an accident up there. See the blue lights? Top of the hill, there's an accident or something's happened up there. Got the dog with me. Quad bike wouldn't start, so we're on foot. Gonna go feed the animals, get them squared up, and then I need to go and build a probe for putting the thermometer into and for testing the grain. These boxes are there for pig feed, so I think there must be pig feed getting made up in the next couple of days. I'm just having a check along here for any skittery back ends, any diarrhea or anything like that, but they're all looking very well. Happy. Here comes the main man. Got my steel. The only issue is they didn't have longer lengths of this profile. They only had bigger, wider diameter, but I don't want wider diameters. I'm going to have to weld them all together, and it might be a wee bit tricky to keep them dead straight. Right, we've got a thermometer probe here and a screen. Long story short, this probe wire is going in between here and the profile of that. These three pieces are getting welded together. It's a 3 meter length of wire. I need to make a mounting bracket for this at the top. I need to make a spear at the end of this and a way of kind of keeping this, the metal piece, in contact with the grain. It could sit inside, but it'll take a while to come up to temperature or come down to temperature, whatever it's at. So I want it to be directly in contact with the grain, so outside of the spear. I'm going to grind 2 wee notches, fold a bit inwards, and then this will slide down the inside and sit on the inside of the tube, but because that bit will be folded in, it'll be directly in contact with the grain. So the idea is the probe sits like that, but from the other side, and there's a cone on this end that spears into the grain. Welding these two is awkward. It's a relatively thin wall on the tube, so I can't just lay down really thick welds and then grind it back. I need to just do wee runs, or it'll burn a hole through. Could do a TIG welder. Right, I'm just going to put a tack on the very top here that I've got access to, and then the very underneath, the closest I can get access to, so it's on the opposite sides, so it doesn't warp anyway, hopefully. It's rough. Really need a TIG welder for something this size, but grinder and paint will make me the welder I aim. You'd never know I had some really awful welds in there. There's some heavy rain at the moment, so, or heavyish, so I'm going to go and check the new shed. Hopefully that leak is sorted completely. I think it should be heavy enough that it would leak at this stage before. Nope, that bit basically dampens up and then it starts to draw along the purlins and then it lands in the buckets. So for the point here, I've welded a wee, it's not focusing, hold up. I've welded a wee nut in there, and then this is going to screw in there, hold on. There you go, so that's going to screw in there. I'm going to weld a wee bit on here, then I'm going to grind it all down into a kind of cone shaped point. Put a bit of Loctite on that so it doesn't screw loose. Red hot. Got my cone, I've just pulled the sensor down through the column, and then I'm going to put a wee bit of JB Weld. If you've not used JB Weld before, it is quality. It's a 2-part resin glue. Anyway, I'll put a wee bit behind there and then press that down, and that should stop it from sliding back up. I might fill the column up with sand as well. Cut that wire off, and we're basically good to go. So that's epoxy steel resin, that's the hardener. You just mix the two together. It's 50-50 mix, and then you mix it together, and then, I don't know, it's like 24 hours or so. Oh no, hold on. 4 to 6 hours hardened. Right, going down the old-fashioned route. Cable tie. Should do the job. Hold it in place while it dries. I've just picked up spuds for the shop. Gonna go and test this. JB Weld won't have set yet, and there's still a cable tie on there, but I'm gonna try it anyway. Also, guess what? Door doesn't work. Can't open it anymore. Got a tractor stuck in here. Okay, so the results are bad. Right, so they're hot, very hot. So need to go and pick up some fans that are along the road and some spears, get blowing some air through it, cool it down a bit. Right, I've got some grain spears. It's just the one motor which is switched between them. So I'll get these in, get them fired up, get them running. Here's one. Just rotate this. It's got a wee helical bit that's already in the grain, and then it just draws itself down. There's no plug sockets in this shed. They're meant to be getting put in just any time, but they're not in, so the nearest plug is on that side. I don't want to run all the way through the door out there, all the way back round to that side. So I'm just going to take a bit of tech screw and slide it under this wee lip, the extension cord, and I'll get to the plug there, get that plugged in, get it fired up. Taking a wee panel off there, so I've got it out there, run it up to here, and then I just need to go and plug in the other end now. Got one up and running, putting this one into it, and then I need to go and test that barley. I've got a spear in there, it's still warm there, that's the temperature probe. I'm going to take it over to the barley, I need to check that because that's our seed. Just be careful with it. It shouldn't be as bad because obviously it's not stored so high. Oats will be alright, they just went in. Yeah, they're in the garage. So the weight's alright, everything's alright. I've tested quite a few bits. Just going to go and buy a whiteboard to put in that shed, and we'll test it every week. Just pick points across it, retest them every week just so we know where it's going. Shouldn't go up, as long as it doesn't go up from where it is now, we're fine. I got a bit of panic, I looked at a graph, read it wrong, and thought we were stuffed, but it's fine, everything's all good. On the bright side, the grain probe works, does the job, perfect. 2 metre spear, they cost 250 quid. And I bought the temperature probe for a tenner off Amazon. The steel to make up the rod, I only used 2 bits, which cost £14. And then a nut and a bolt and a welder and a bit of time. Whiteboard secured, that'll do for the temperatures and my lunch. 4 o'clock lunch. Retesting the rape and then filling the board. Got a wee board now, so these are the points in the shed. That's the door reference. Temperatures on this date, and then we'll do every week for a wee while. There's a new white panel on here, the Sparky put that on. That's all he had when he came, because we're needing 2 plug sockets for the tatty dresser, which Duncan and Kev just set up today. Cleared out this area, got a tatty dresser made up. There's a box of tatties over there to go through it. Just when we get round to it, feeding the calves again. Feed them twice a day at the moment, just to get them up and going onto ad lib. They could have gone, they were effectively on ad lib outside, but they've come off their mothers, they've come off the grass. Wasn't really too sure whether they'd be alright just to leave them. Possibly would be fine just to leave them on ad lib, but they had nothing else to eat, so all they would have eaten is a barley mix. So, I don't know. Anyway, safer just build them up, and then I know personally they'll be fine. Someone asked the question if we clip the calves' backs, and it reminded me that we've not clipped the calves' backs. So I've ordered some clippers. Obviously this is the first year of having calves. I'm not got a set of clippers, so I've ordered some. They arrived today. So I'll probably set up pens tonight, and then I'll run them calves out to the race where the headstock is, and run them through there and clip them tomorrow. Clip them so along their backs, so they let off a bit of heat, so they don't overheat, and they don't get sweaty for pneumonia reasons. New tool. I'll need these. Hold on. Let's get her open up. Ooh, what have we got here? Cordless clippers. Anyway, don't need these anymore. Voila. Instruction manual. Oil. Here's the actual tool we're after. Bits are falling apart. Let's get them apart. Let's get them up here. Spare battery. Charger. Multi-tool. Flathead Phillips. Wee brush. And a blow moulded case. Heap of rubbish. So what these are for is the calves. So along their backs, you need to do their backs, helps cool them down, reduce the sweat, reduce the chance of pneumonia. I meant to do it, I completely forgot about it, and someone mentioned it in the comments, which is quite handy. So I've bought a set of clippers. Obviously this is the first set of calves we've had. It's kind of bottom end of the cordless tools. Not cheap, but the cheap end of the cordless tools. I went into Harborough the other day to get a set, and they were 460 quid. So I didn't buy them, and I bought these for less than half the price. So these should do a good job. I didn't want to get rubbish ones because hopefully we're going to build up the numbers. Hopefully these will have a good bit of life in them. So first of all, comb, cutter. This is body, battery. This is the head on it. There's a few things I need to do before I can use them. I need to set the comb position, set the cutter position, lubricate and grease the whole thing, or check everything's greased and whatnot. So first of all, slots in there. It sits just a fraction up from that baseline. Tighten that. So these holes, these indents line up with the pins on this oscillating part. So that's it lined up now. That's fine. So when it's completely at this end, this edge and this edge are meant to be flush, which they pretty much are. That's a lubricating point, that's a lubricating point, that's a lubricating point. That keeps the internals in here lubricated and the comb lubricated. And then there's also a shaft in here. I need to take the whole head off and check it's greased. Ugh. That's better. There we go. Battery transits power to the motor. Motor turns this wee gear, which is a 10-tooth gear, which meshes with this 40 thereabouts, 42-tooth gear. So the motor in here spins really fast, and then it's reduced by 4 times when it gets to here via the 4-to-1 ratio, or 1-to-4, whatever way around it's meant to go on the gearing there and a gearing there. So it's a lot slower. This will rotate 4 times slower than that will rotate. So anyway, very well greased in there, so that's fine, I'm happy with that. There we go. So this is a tensioner here, so this puts the tension between the cutter and the comb. You don't want it too tight or else it heats up and wears down too much. You don't want it too loose or else it doesn't cut very well. So it's a fine balance, which I don't have a clue what the good balance is until I start cutting, and I'll find out because I've never used one before. Lubricate these to 3 points, and then I think we're good to go. It's geared more towards sheep, this tool, but I was reading reviews online and it's absolutely fine for cattle. So it really depends on what combs you've got. Do some damage with that, eh? Nah, maybe not. Tomorrow morning, next video, I'm going to be doing the calves back, so you'll see it in action. Right, tool review was almost over, but I want to know how the power from rotational here is changed into a back and forward oscillation. I'm not really sure what mechanism it is, so I'm taking it apart. Okay, so how this works, you can't see, but I'll try and do a demonstration. Let me get something round. I figured it out how to explain it, right? This is your column. You've got your cutter on the bottom here, so imagine this is your cutter. You want that to slide back and forward. So you pin it down, so it's got a floor to it, so you push it down so this can't move up or down at all. And then this is your rotation from the motor. So if you try and rotate this around this circle here, as it's doing that, and this can't move up and down, it pushes it that way, comes down to the bottom, then pushes it that way, all the way back up, pushes it that way, all the way back down, pushes it that way. And that then shifts that back and forward. So you get rotation turned into linear oscillation. Hopefully I showed you how that kind of operates. Pretty poor demonstration. Question of the day. What's that off of? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you can like and subscribe, that always helps. Down in like in that corner, subscribe in that corner. Red button and the thumbs up. It's free, it helps. Only 37% of the viewers are subscribed.